An Israeli drone struck a residential building in Beirut suburbs on July 30 to assassinate a senior Hezbollah commander. The Israeli strike resulted in tens of civilian casualties. The drone targeted a residential building on a heavily populated street, and in response, the US stated, I quote, "The United States would help Israel defend itself should a full-scale war break out with Lebanon," end quote. But first, what about the martyrs, including the 2 children killed by the Israeli strike? Israel used a rocket attack on Majd al-Shams as a pretext to strike Lebanon. The US quickly supported Israel, reiterating its mantra, Israel has the right to defend itself, despite there being no evidence that the resistance did it. The rocket that fell on a football field in Majd al-Shams killed 12 civilians and injured several others. Who did Israel blame? The Lebanese resistance. The US backed this narrative without hesitation. Despite the Lebanese resistance categorical rejection of the claims and assertions that an Israeli interception missile caused the tragedy, and detailed analysis of the impact site and video evidence supporting Hezbollah's account, the US remains focused on supporting Israel's narrative without regard to international law. Israeli crimes are documented with clear evidence. Yet, the US State Department covers up the atrocities and downplays the situation, saying, I quote, "We are in talks with Israeli authorities and are awaiting their investigation," end quote. This gets dragged until people forget about it, and eventually not a single word of condemnation is uttered, because, as we've come to know, there's no such thing as the Israeli investigation into IOF crimes, the facts that just seem to vanish into thin air most of the time. Even when pressed by journalists, in a press conference for example, about harrowing pictures coming out of Gaza, the US still insists on awaiting the Israeli investigation that never seems to unfold. But when it's about the Israeli narrative backed with zero proof, not a single piece of information or footage to corroborate it, the same US State Department rushes to adopt it, acting on it or asking for action accordingly. Because when it comes to Israel, nothing else matters.